And a good evening, meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios out in Inlet Beach. And good evening to meteorologist Dan Nyman, who is over in Panama City. How are things going today?
I had spring fever out there today. At least I did. It felt really good out there as I was watching a fence go up next door throughout the day.
How much progress did they make?
An insane amount. It's like basically done. It's just kind of nice to get a free fence by virtue of being like in between fences.
Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered, like, how does that work? Who decides? Is it like you're just like kind of waiting out like the other people for them to put in their fence?
Yeah, and then if you let them do it first, you get to look at the nice side. So it's really worked out just perfectly.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it was a beautiful day today across our area, and I think we're going to see a lot more of these coming up here over the coming days. We had, I want to show you guys some beautiful sunrise photos that we got this morning. We get a lot of sunset photos, but here was the sunrise over in Water Sound earlier this morning, and you can see this is over in the Origins community, not too far from me. You can see it had some nice color to the sky and some clouds from Miss Linda, but then look at the pink hue to the sky this morning over in Lower Grand Lagoon. You can see the bridge over Grand Lagoon right there, but big pink color to the sky. I hope we're able to get up early and enjoy what was a quiet start to the day. And over the course of the day, everyone got out and enjoyed, got a little bit of spring fever and a little bit of jumping around from our friend David Wesley there. Water temperatures are into the upper 50s, so it's still pretty chilly, and you can see the beautiful blue skies across Northwest Florida. We had yellow flags flying today. You can see the water has come back in after retreating quite a bit thanks to those stronger northerly winds last week. And then this is the view right now from sunset over on Panama City Beach from David Wesley there. Nice view there. We would love to see your weather photos. You can always submit them here on the Panhandle Weather app. It's free in the iTunes App Store as well as the Google Play Store. And over 18,000 of you, we appreciate, have downloaded the app so far. Just amazing. Now, this evening across Northwest Florida, the daylight continues to, days are getting longer. We add about 46 minutes of daylight during the month of February, so give or take 23 in the morning and 23 in the evening, but those days are getting longer and you can still see some color out there a little bit longer. Notice we had a south wind today, and notice the dew point temperature is 58 degrees, so that's showing that increase in moisture across our area. And that's why it's not going to be anywhere near as cool tonight. And that moisture, I think, will lead to the development of some fog across our region. You see south winds running at about 10 miles an hour right now, and that's the case out over across Panama City Beach. You see the yellow flag there kind of blowing around on that south wind, but it's that dew point temperature that gives us an idea that, yes, we're not going to see temperatures fall too quickly this evening, and they're not going to be getting, at least along the coastline, much lower than the mid-50s. I think inland areas will be into the 40s and 50s, but certainly waterfront. And you see we have quite a few folks out dining this evening, evidenced by the fact that, yes, it is indeed warmer. Live Doppler radars, all quiet across our neck of the woods this evening. You can see out to our west, the dense fog advisory has already been issued, and we'll pay attention to that because there's a possibility we'll see that expanded across more of Northwest Florida. But for now, it goes Okaloosa, Santa Rosa, and Escambia counties are under a dense fog advisory for tonight. Meanwhile, up into the northeastern United States, you see some few snow showers up there across the Great Lakes. And one of the cool things that was spotted today on visible satellite imagery were some cracks in the ice on Lake Erie. The winds are very strong up there and breaking apart some of that ice. Initially, we had the one big break right there that was evidenced earlier this morning, but then notice this afternoon, you can see there's a second break in the ice there across Lake Erie. But all the cool stuff you can see, Lake Erie, for the most part, primarily covered in ice, but obviously seeing some breaks thanks to the winds. Meanwhile, temperatures right now currently into the 50s and 60s across our region. We're a good 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what we were 24 hours ago, and those winds continue to blow out of the south. Now, to talk more about what that means for our temperatures as far as for tonight, we go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, just give me 1 second here as I work my way through. They were doing some work out across the area in Springfield on the internet, so it's like a common thing here, at least for the last week's worth of shows, where you can't quite see everything that's going on the weather computer as far as like, what graphics are we talking about here? Well, we'll start with the winds, and Chris will push forward for us as we get through the next few moments. Winds out of the south once again, real pleasant outside for today. And we'll see tonight the winds kind of back off. That'll be one thing that kind of lends itself to some of that radiation fog as the temperatures kind of escape back up towards the top of the atmosphere. You could start to see with this sort of pattern repetitive nights where fog is in and out of several locations. As far as tomorrow, though, that south wind picks up to about 5 to 10 once again. It's all helping to keep us more comfortable through the morning hours. You'll see here 50s across most of the Panhandle, just a touch cooler over towards Tallahassee, Bluntstown down to 46, 45 in Sopchoppy, but you see 55 to 57 degrees along many coastal spots on our southwest facing beaches. A very comfortable way to get Tuesday morning going. Even inland, you see here 50 degrees up towards Milton. Pretty comfortable start to the morning. We'll do mid-50s across the coastal spots of Bay County as you get on the other side of the Hathaway Bridge. Lower 50s tomorrow morning. Across the Forgotten Coast, anywhere from about 51 to 57 degrees on the Cape there. And then, of course, we'll find some upper 40s kind of scattered around through the eastern Panhandle. For Tallahassee, for example, 46 degrees is your sunrise feel. And then as you work into Jackson County, you're closer to 48, 49, 50 degrees. So a big improvement compared to where we spent most of the latter half of January and even the start of February. You'll get things going through Holmes County up towards Bonifay right around 50 degrees. Temperatures from there work their way up back inside of the 60s and 70s. We'll have to keep an eye out for a little more of that patchy fog developing, as it's going to be something that we see more and more often this week with the moisture returning from that south wind across the Gulf. You'll see here right now good visibility across the Panhandle. Of course, dense fog advisories west of our coverage area, but eventually we will find here too at least a few spots where some patchy fog is possible. Perhaps not dense enough to be a dense fog advisory, but you see here it's pretty much possible across all of the Panhandle, so you'll be something to look out for as you get on the road early tomorrow morning. And then from there, temperatures, of course, rise throughout the day. A few passing clouds out there, as we, of course, Chris, will not be completely cloud-free this week. There will certainly be times that we're keeping an eye on the skies for some intermittent brief rain chances, and then perhaps this weekend maybe a better chance to get some meaningful rain, although solutions for that are about as clear as mud right now.
Yeah, and they continue to slow up as we were looking at closer to Saturday, then overnight Saturday. Now it's kind of hinting more towards Sunday morning. And that's not unusual for these southern stream systems, that they get kind of hung up out to our west. So we'll continue to kind of watch it. But right now it looks like far from a washout of a weekend, but we will at some point, it looks like right now, have to deal with showers and thunderstorms. Too early to say whether we'll see any severe weather, but it's something on our radar just in case. But it's still a ways away. Until then, I think it's just teasing rain chances.
Yeah, just here and there, maybe a isolated shower is probably the best we'll do. It's
Yes.
a lot of short waves, little ripples in the flow, so nothing that's going to look like an impressive organized system for us here throughout the upcoming week. And with that in mind, drought conditions probably going to continue too. And I saw this weekend, Chris, I'll mention it now because otherwise I'll forget. The Walton County Fire Rescue was posting about all the burns that were happening and then the wildfires that subsequently happened. We'll have to keep an eye on the winds at times because things are real dry out there, and I think they wanted us to pass on a message to just not start a fire if you don't have to.
Yes, yeah, and they posted one, that was like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this, and then like within like a few minutes there was another fire, and they were like, okay, like, maybe let's not do that. So the only good news would be we have a southerly wind, so at least humidity levels will be on the high side. But obviously we could use rainfall, and so I think it's just best to kind of keep the burning to a minimum until we can get some rain. And there's a potential that we'll get some decent rainfall as we head into the weekend with that next storm system, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a few moments.
We're proud to bring you the most popular cars in the world. Like
not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
When it comes to building, local experience matters. At Mid-South Lumber, our team knows the job, and we'll help you get it right the first time. From weekend DIY projects to full custom builds, you'll get solid materials, fair prices, and service you won't find at a big box store. That's why we're the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City. Mid-South Lumber. Shop local. Build with confidence. Let's quote the next project today.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. with professional grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
Find something you love with great deals this month at Panama City Toyota. Get 1.99% APR on a new Camry, rated Best Midsize Car by Kelley Blue Book. Plus, 90 days until you make your first payment. Get 2.49% APR on the Rocket Tacoma. Plus, 90 days until your first payment. And get 2.49% APR on the powerful Tundra. Plus, 90 days until your first payment. Come check out our showroom or browse online at Panama City Toyota.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
Hey, and a good evening. Meteorologist Chris Smith here. Good evening to Jessica and Randy and Doug up there at Owl's Head in Freeport. Doug was messaging me earlier today. I was talking to him about the app. Tracy in Mexico Beach, needs some, she says Mexico Beach needs some rain, but Weewa always steals the rain. There's your rivalry right there, Gators and Sharks.
Yeah. I think there's some truth to that, to be honest, too. We'll see during summer storm season. I'll point it out basically every day that I see it. Just because, like, you get the convergence over Weewa, but Mexico Beach is, like, always left out of sea breeze thunderstorms.
Oh, goodness. It's like, what did we do to you? Now we're just like, instead of like, oh, the Bay County bubble and everything else. But what I'll tell you is that every place I've ever lived, there's been a conspiracy about a bubble someplace.
Yeah, I used to say it growing up pretty often. It's just perception, but it can feel real when you live in that specific spot.
Oh, my goodness. So let's go ahead and we're going to get underway here and talk about what's happening this week across Northwest Florida and how those rain chances are looking for our area. Right now, it looks like we're going to stay on the drier side. Our forecast headlines this week. We're going to see some patchy, dense fog, not only tonight, but over the next several nights across our region. Nothing to get overly worried about, but there will be some fog each morning this week. We'll see a gradual warming trend with very low-end rain chances. Our best rain chances come in as we head into Saturday night and in particular Sunday morning as our next storm system begins to move in. So let's talk about those temperatures for tonight. Again, staying steady mainly into the 50s. As Dan showed you, some folks towards the Chipola River Valley could drop into the 40s, but I think we'll see a good many 50 to 55 degree temperatures for your overnight lows tonight. There you see a little bit of that daylight still sneaking in over into Destin, where dew point temperatures are into the upper 50s. And so that's why, again, we don't expect for it to get too terribly cool right along the immediate coastline this evening. Over into Grand Lagoon, you're at 60 with the dew point of 56, south winds running at about 10 miles per hour. And then St. Andrews, looking over into the port, you're at 59 degrees. St. Andrews had a heck of a time with the Mardi Gras festivities over the weekend, and the weather was just about perfect this weekend. So as we take a live look out over across Panama City Beach, again, mostly clear skies continuing, southerly winds across our area. As we move throughout the day on Tuesday, winds will be fairly light. They may pick upwards of 10 to 15 at times late in the day. What's going to happen on Wednesday will be interesting. We'll have a cold front that's going to slide in from the north. And as that happens, winds will turn westerly, and then we'll get a brief northerly wind in here. Now that front has a small chance of bringing us maybe a 20% chance of a shower across our region, but that's going to be about it. So low temperatures tonight, 40s and 50s across our area. Mid 50s along the coast, upper 40s expected for inland areas. Meanwhile, we'll see that patchy dense fog develop overnight tonight. Visibilities will drop down to maybe a quarter, certainly down to about a third to a half of a mile across our area. Especially more dense as we head towards Pensacola and over into Milton, Fort Walton Beach. And then as we head through the morning hours, that fog will move out pretty quickly, so I'm not too concerned about it. So for the kids at First Bell, a little bit of fog, temperatures at 50, and then we'll warm up into the 70s. So cool-ish start to the day, but we should warm up pretty nicely as we head into the afternoon with temperatures into the mid-70s inland and flirting with 70 degrees along the coastline. Anytime you get that southerly wind from the Gulf and the water temperature is 58 degrees, that really has an impact on exactly how warm we can get. Less of an impact inland, much more of an impact right along the immediate coastline. Wednesday morning, we'll see temperatures into the 50s, and then we'll see those 50s Wednesday morning. Look at that, even upper 50s into Jay and Gulf breeze. Now that'll be the interesting thing on Wednesday is notice you're not seeing that difference in temperatures inland and coast. They're staying in very similar ballparks, and obviously the wind chill not an issue either, but 56 in Bozeman, 59 in Panama City Beach, 55 in White City, and 54 degrees over into Appalach, St. George Island, and Cape San Blas will be right around 60 degrees. Through Tallahassee and along the I-10 corridor through Greensville, Alpha, Marietta, Grand Ridge, and Sneads will be right around 56 degrees. And we'll keep those mid to upper 50s going right on through Walton, Holmes, and over into Washington counties. So when we talk about those high temperatures for your Wednesday across our area, we'll see those highs back up into the 70s over northwest Florida. And we'll see this big ridge of high pressure that's out to our west begin to spread its way off towards the east over the coming days. Now, we saw plenty of warm weather across the northern plains all the way down through San Antonio with above average temperatures. But notice some of this orange on the map beginning to slide into our area, and that's going to spell some warmer weather as we move throughout the week, starting to push out that colder weather into the northeast United States. To talk more about the warmer weather and talk about rain chances as we get closer to the weekend, let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yep, we'll continue to keep an eye on many changes as we start to bring back some warmer weather, some humidity's coming on in as well. Things are going to feel much more pleasant as far as spending time outside. You'll certainly feel that spring fever, I think, especially given how January was about 6 weeks long. But as Chris mentioned, above average temperatures working their way back across the central and eastern part of the country. Just the northeast remains left out of that for tomorrow, with the west coast starting to pick up on a trough and a very different weather pattern that we saw on the west coast for much of the time frame where we were cold. Now, as we continue through this week, although the ridge will generally persist for us, there will be times that we see little ripples within the flow of that, just a little dip in that mid-level flow, and that will help to spur up some lift in the atmosphere and at least bring cloud coverage back. I'm more confident on that. Rain chances I'm not super confident about as we get through the middle and latter part of the week, although a better chance for rain certainly looks possible with a system that may or may not get its move on sometime soon. If you could give me an advance forward here with the graphics, Chris, we'll talk more about what's coming through the mid part of the week as, of course, temperatures to our north sit well above average. You see here through Arkansas, parts of Kentucky, Tennessee, pretty warm temperatures there. And then for us, of course, we're going to get back above where we should be for the time of year. And a well-deserved stretch through the 70s is on the way for most places throughout the upcoming week. Rain chances gradually on the rise. So here's what I was talking about with just little disturbances, little ripples that create a bit of lift in the atmosphere, helping to kind of take advantage of the return of moisture with the south winds. You'll see through Thursday and Friday, pretty small, meager rain chances. The same could be said for Saturday. And right now we have rain chances highest for Sunday. although the evolution of the system that should bring that will be somewhat slow to take place, and we probably won't know a whole lot about that system until the mid part of the week when it finally gets a nudge eastward. Futurecast satellite and radar here showing the return of cloud coverage through the second half of the week. It won't be completely cloudy, but certainly a mix of sun and clouds out there. As we get closer towards the weekend, you see a low pressure system there sweeping through northern Alabama, drags through a cold front that helps to spur up what looks to be showers and thunderstorms. Although the placement of that low is certainly an unknown right now, so the extent of how strong those thunderstorms are is probably going to be a question that remains unanswered for an extended period of time. You see here by Sunday morning, right now we're dragging through that line, so kind of a classic Panhandle nighttime to early morning event, but that could change pretty significantly because the upper air low that we're watching for that is stationary across the Four Corners states and down towards the Baja Peninsula. Rain chances, though, will be high through this system. Now, this axis of heavy rainfall, the yellows that you're seeing here, could shift depending on track of that ultimate low pressure system and how quickly it develops. But generally speaking, right now, we're looking at a system that brings its heaviest rain to the north of the Panhandle with a good helping of rainfall for us as well through the next 7 days. We certainly could use an inch of rainfall. Thunderstorms could tick these amounts slightly higher. And then, of course, there probably will be a few spots that miss out on these rainfall totals. But it's a welcome sight to see about an inch and a quarter to an inch and a half worth of rainfall over the next 7 days, and that'll accumulate pretty slowly at first as you look through this week. Don't expect much, but once you finally get that system towards the weekend, rain chances should finally creep up. Right now, that looks like Sunday. This weekend's forecast, therefore, not a washout by any stretch of the imagination. Certainly a little bit more cloud coverage, though, than we'll experience today or tomorrow, for example, and temperatures remain on the warmer side of things, with breezy conditions returning by Sunday as well, out of the southwest at first, and then when that front passes, expect a wind shift and slightly drier air to filter back in as well. Pretty manageable weekend, though. Here's the upper level system I'm talking about. So this kind of helps to break down exactly what's the problem as far as nailing down the forecast. You see right now that ridge starting to develop, the yellow colors creeping in across Oklahoma and Arkansas back towards the west. Just a little dip of blue there. That's the first of several short waves or little dips in the jet that bring through at least a slight atmosphere. Look towards Friday, though. A little bit bigger of a system, a southern stream trough there that's going to slide across the northern Gulf Coast. That's the big question mark. How far south is that? How far or how quickly does the system associated with it develop? We'll try to iron those pieces of details out as we get through the mid part of this week. But right now, you see, it is pretty far to the south, and as it works its way towards the east, it should lift in a pretty favorable spot for us to bring back rain chances through Saturday night into Sunday morning. There you see, stretching right through parts of northern Alabama, and behind it already another ridge developing. So this, although a cold front, probably isn't going to bring a significant change in air mass once we get done with the rainfall and perhaps thunderstorms. In fact, a big stretch in the ridge of high pressure behind it could bring even warmer temperatures. You see there across Louisiana and Texas, pretty nice elevated colors there, deeper shades of yellows and oranges. That certainly points our attention towards warmer temperatures as we get through the start of the following week from this week. West Coast, not so lucky. You see a big trough there continuing across the coast. So Valentine's Day, the forecast continues to look pretty good. We've got temperatures back inside of the 70s with mostly cloudy skies in and across the area through the morning, midday, and afternoon hours, although don't expect it to be a gloomy looking day by any stretch of the imagination. Peaks of sunshine should still be out there as we get through the Valentine's Day forecast. The evening dinner plans looking good for that as well. There's also the farmers market this week in downtown Panama City. That's Saturday. Temperatures warm for the start. I think shorts and a t-shirt should be good by the time we get to midday. Temperatures once again back around 71 degrees. And as we continue with the events, the Sunday Farmers Market in Rosemary Beach, a better chance of rain through the morning hours right now, but I certainly wouldn't cancel plans for this because things are going to evolve and change as far as timing goes. If it's earlier, you could get the rainfall done before events get underway, or perhaps later you could sneak some shopping in before the rainfall arrives. Your temperature trend over the next 7 days will bounce around 70 degrees at the coast, but a few afternoons have the chance to get past the mid-70s. In inland locations, low temperatures look plenty manageable as well. We continue through the 50s outside of tomorrow morning, briefly into the 40s in some inland spots, and then, of course, behind the cold front, maybe a brief return to the 40s in inland spots once again. The long-range forecast, though, continues to be pretty high likelihood of above average temperatures from the 15th to the 19th. You see there the deeper shades of red are higher confidence of warm weather, so we're looking pretty confident right now at warm temperatures through the mid part of the month, although we'll see. It's still mid-February, Chris, so perhaps winter could fight back. I don't want to write things off completely, but that is a pretty warm-looking forecast, and you'll see that in your 7-day forecast right here. As we get through a few foggy mornings over the next few days, temperatures bounce around 70 at the coast. Rain chances return this weekend, but don't cancel plans yet. We have a lot to figure out as far as timing and impacts from that. Inland areas back inside of the mid-70s with, once again, some patchy fog through the morning hours. Decent amount of sunshine through the afternoon. Clouds pick up towards the end of the week.
Yeah, and Giselle's asking about Seaside. Their Seaside Neighborhood School half marathon is this weekend on Sunday. And as Dan mentioned, I would be watching it carefully because rain appears, somewhat likely, but the timing of that is going to be critical, and it takes, well, depending upon how fast you run, a couple hours, 3 hours, depending, to run a half marathon. You only need a window that's dry for you, that's relatively small in the big picture. So we have a little bit of time to watch it, but obviously rain could be a concern there Sunday morning for the race.
Yep, going to be super interesting to see how that plays out. Obviously, a little bit further north solution. I think we'll be watching things a little more closely this weekend. Further south, it's probably temperatures come down a bit. Rainfall doesn't change much, but the impacts do. But yeah, we're looking at another frontal system, Chris, where it's like 4 or 5 hours across the whole area. So you really just have to not get unlucky with the timing for all of these events to go through just fine. But we've seen it in the past where it manages to happen at exactly the wrong time. Yeah. So keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see. And that's the thing that when you look at the 7-day, you have 4 days that have chances of rainfall there. And really, there's probably just one that you need to be overly concerned about for plan-altering rainfall, and that, at this point, is 6 days out, and I think we have plenty of time to watch that and fine-tune the forecast, because even within that day, again, as Dan mentioned, it is probably just going to be several hours of time that we'll see the rainfall, and the rest of the day, relatively speaking, okay.
Yeah, it's kind of classic Florida weather at that point. We'll see. The only thing that makes me think, and this is not a forecast, I'm going to use that line.
Okay.
This is pure superstition. Depending on how things evolve, there's a very good chance that we see the rain earlier rather than later, because there's almost always rain at the Daytona 500, which is Sunday. So that starts around 2:30. I would bet the rain gets there before the race ends, which would mean we'd probably get through with it before sunrise. That's superstition, not a forecast.
Not a forecast. Well, let's...
But it always rains.
You are right about that. Where was the... So... Well... Hey, this could be your year. Maybe it just falls apart. That is...
They say that every year.
That's the 15-kilometer model, so we're not into the higher resolution stuff yet. So I would take it with a grain of salt that Daytona could potentially avoid the rainfall. But, I think at this point you're kind of looking at the timing. And right now, Sunday morning. But as we mentioned, with these southern stream systems, they are notorious for taking their time to get here. We've already seen kind of the rain chances backing up. So there's a real possibility it will back up more, which would mean that, our rain chances might not be until a little bit later in the day, maybe after they get done with the race.
That would be ideal. It's been a long winter. football's great and all, but let's get some racing back on TV.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Oh, what a dud of a game last night.
No, that's because the Eagles weren't in it.
Oh, I mean, like what I was like, I'm looking at 12-0. I'm like, oh. Is it?
Although, like, is this what people felt like last year? Because I was having the time of my life, but I think for everybody else, that was probably what last year's game felt like.
Yeah, well, there was at least scoring last year, you know, but
Yeah.
I mean, but the game was over. Like, you know, even when you looked at 12-0, you're like, how are the Patriots going to come up with 14 points? You know, and also prevent Seattle from even getting another field goal. But yeah, it was not the best of Super Bowls. Hopefully we'll get back on track. There was a stretch when I was a kid, the Super Bowl was a blowout every single year. It wasn't until probably like the 2000s that we got into like these really competitive games every year, so.
Yeah, we've been spoiled as of late. Jason Myers should have won the Super Bowl MVP as a kicker. That's enough of this discussion, and a pretty good look at the weather forecast. We went about 30 minutes there, Chris, talking about sunshine and clouds, so not bad. More of this is 6 o'clock the rest of this week.
Y'all be good.